Starting streaming. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rant Line Radio, episode 627, coming to you on Monday, October 20th. We're going to look back at SC's loss on the road at Notre Dame, talk about that and so much more. We got a bunch of emails, bunch of calls to get to. As always, you can follow us on social media at Rant Troy. Email us, rantoftroy@fanside.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Whispering Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, joined with my co-host here in the Rant Troy studio in Los Angeles, Alicia D'Artola.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are back here to discuss. This is a big episode. Little podcast news here at the front. This is our Notre Dame Fallout episode. After this, we will be back a week from today on the 27th. And the 27th will be our second version of the unit-by-unit rotometer. So there's a link right now in the show notes, in the description. Go in there, click that link, go to the Google form, and fill out how you feel about every single USC unit on the team. Put in your thoughts, and we will reconvene a week from today, the 27th, and go over all of that and see how it compares to where it was a few weeks ago, before the Michigan game. Last bye week.
Also coming off a loss.
This is true. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the news, shall we? All right, we start with a game time for Nebraska has been announced. It will be 4:30 p.m. Pacific on NBC. 3 straight games USC will play on NBC. Night game. I think it's cool that it's a night game because Nebraska's wearing their black jerseys, black shirts.
Did they announce that?
They announced that in the summer.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was one of those things where if I remember right, like Matt Rule was like, not Pat Rule, Matt Rule, different guy, was something about like they'd be cooler at night, but also you're not going to win because of the jerseys that you're wearing. If you're winning because of the jerseys that you're wearing, like you've got some other issues, which is the right thing to say. But
correct, yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
I like a night game. This logistically is a little bit complicated for us.
It's complicated for us.
Yeah,
we have a wedding problem that weekend. So
thankfully not on Saturday. The wedding is on Sunday.
Yes.
So that helps.
But
getting to the wedding,
it's going to all be complicated.
Dealing with family
the
wedding.
There will be no car cast. The Fallout episode is probably going to be like a day or two late. And there will be no watch along. So keep that in mind. So we'll be enjoying Lisa's brother's wedding, which will be super fun. And we'll be going out of town for that. So that'll be a grand old time. The other news, updated polls, SC has fallen out of the poll just barely, number 26. If you look at the others receiving votes, Notre Dame up to 12th after beating the Trojans. Oregon is now 6th. The Trojans will play them next month. Illinois up to 23. Michigan back in the polls at 25, one spot ahead of SC, despite SC beating them a week ago. But everything changes.
Yeah, this is classic AP voters being reactive. When I did my projected AP rankings, I had Illinois ahead of USC, ahead of Michigan, ahead of USC, ahead of Utah, ahead of Michigan. And the fact that Michigan is ahead of USC at this point is asinine, but really it's simply because USC lost more recently. Like when you lose, you drop, and then you win the next week and you rise up a little bit more. So it's just one of those silly things that's part of why the polls don't matter, except for when they do.
Yeah. If you want to be ranked, though, you got to win. You got to win on the road, which SC cannot do. All right, Alicia, let's get into looking back at the game. SC, of course, loses 34-24 on the road. They gave up 300 yards on the ground. We got a bunch of comments about, a lot of comments from Notre Dame fans. Not happy that you said that you used the DS slur about SC and Notre Dame.
I said both teams were dog shit, you
did.
I stand by that
People
assessment.
not happy about that.
Yeah.
But also people not happy that I said that I didn't care about the 300 yards. And I want to clarify, like, it's not that I don't care that SC gave up 300 yards. SC should never give up 300 yards on the ground. Absolutely, full stop. But, like, that's a macro issue. SC's issues in games are micro issues and lead to the game specific issue. That makes sense. Like, you and I were talking about this while we were having lunch today, of like, I need there to be an analogy that better explains what I'm meaning by this. And the closest thing we came to is one of our best friends is an elementary school teacher. And she has said that the thing that she tells her kids is you can give somebody feedback for something if it's something they can change about themselves within 30 seconds. If not, keep it to yourself, right? Like, in other words, don't go up and tell a kid, hey, you're fat. But you can say, hey, you got broccoli stuck in your teeth. You know what I mean? Like, there's they can't make themselves unfat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can say this as a fat kid. But they can take the broccoli out of their teeth, right? And, like, to me, SC giving up the 300 yards, like, that's the structural problem. That's the thing that you can't change overnight. That's the big picture. Obviously, yes, SC needs to get better on those things, and that's the grand picture. That's what's wrong with the program. But what's wrong with the individual game and why SC continues to lose these things are the little moments that end up being big moments in key spots that SC continues to do over and over and over again. And, you know, I wrote down, I went through and looked at every close game on the road under Lincoln Riley in his time at USC. And all of those games are extremely similar in how, like, they go down, and they all end up just about the same way, whether or not SC gives up 300 yards, right? Like, so yes, SC giving up 300 yards is an issue. It's, you know, there's levels to this. I feel like I'm, like, no, I feel like the nuance here should be obvious to get, but maybe not.
As I told you as we were walking to lunch today, this is like, and again, I hate this analogy, but it's the only thing I can think of. Like, the kid didn't lose the race because he was fat. He lost the race because he tripped. You know, like,
right. That's
what USC was. USC's issue here is that they made the key mistakes that lost them. They could have won. They could have given up 300 yards rushing and still won this game. That's what's so frustrating, because you didn't even need a lockdown defensive performance. You just needed to not make the critical errors. Yeah. And if you don't make those critical errors and you lose, then yes, I mean, certainly the 300 yards factor in, the 3 touchdowns on the ground factor in. But it's sort of an all-encompassing thing where we're trying to diagnose what's wrong. And, like, to put it another way, like, the doctors are very aware that USC has diabetes, but also there's a stab wound, and, like,
right,
you know, which one?
A self-inflicted.
Which one is gonna be addressed in the most urgency, right?
Yes.
We've used so many analogies here, but
yeah, if you have heart disease, but you die in a car crash, you still died in a car crash.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All right. But I'm going to get into my thing first really quick, and then we can go to your thoughts, just because we're on this topic here. So these are, I went through and I wrote down, did the research for every single close road game under Lincoln Riley. I will read through this really quickly. It's a lot to digest, but, like, this is the problem, right? Notre Dame. This weekend, SC leads with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. They immediately give up a kickoff return for a touchdown. They fumble on a trick play in the rain. in a drive where they're trying to take back the lead, then they give up a touchdown on defense, can't convert on 4th and inches, and they lose by 10. They led with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, right? At Illinois, SC erases a 14-point deficit to take the lead with just under 2 minutes. They lose on a last-second field goal because they can't stop them on defense.
Because they scored too early and they are hopeless to stop Illinois.
Last year at UCLA, SC has to settle for 3 first-half field goals. They can't finish off their drives. They need a trick play, a Makai Lemon wide receiver pass, which is ironic, through the fourth quarter to spark their only touchdown drive of the game. A toe-tapping catch from Jacoby Lane with 7 minutes to go gives the Trojans the lead. They get outgained by the 117th offense in the country, but SC wins by 6. At Washington last year, SC erases a 13-point second-half deficit, takes the lead with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, then forces the punts. They have the ball back with a chance to further their lead. Miller Moss throws an interception. Washington scores to take the lead with 14 minutes left. SC then fails to convert on 4th down plays at the 4-yard line and the 14-yard line in the last 5 minutes. They lose by 5. At Maryland, Miller Moss throws an interception while USC is driving and up 14 points in the third quarter. Maryland scores a touchdown the next play. Then later, while trying to extend their lead to 9, go up 2 scores at the 2-minute warning to just effectively end the game. On 4th and 1, Lincoln Riley decides to kick on 4th and 1. The field goal is blocked. Maryland goes down the field, and having previously scored a 2-point conversion, just needs a PAT for the lead. SC loses by 1. At Minnesota last year, SC is up 7 and driving in the fourth quarter. Miller Moss has a pass tipped in the air and intercepted. Minnesota goes on a long drive to tie the game with 7 minutes left. SC has the ball again to try to take back the lead. They had been 70% on 3rd down in the game. They go 3 and outs. They punt. SC then somehow stops 2 quarterback sneaks at the goal line. But the second one on 4th down gets reviewed, overturned, and then Miller Moss throws another interception in desperation in the final seconds. SC loses by 7. At Michigan last year, SC overcomes a 14-3 halftime deficit with 3 valiant scoring drives in the second half. They're up by 3, but Michigan converts 2 third and ones and a 4th and goal with 41 seconds left to take the lead. SC loses by 3. At Cal in 2013, SC overcame 2 separate double-digit deficits, but they missed a 2-point conversion, a PAT, and a field goal. So what should be a 2-score lead at the end of the game is only 7. Naturally, Cal scores with 58 seconds to go in the game, but instead of going for the tie with a PAT, Justin Wilcox decides to go for the win, and luckily Jalen Smith breaks up a go-ahead score in the end zone. SC wins by 1. At Colorado in 2023. By the middle of the third quarter, SC is jiggle-bagging Colorado. It's 41-14. Colorado then scores on the next 4 drives, during which true freshman wide receiver Amarian Miller racks up 196 receiving yards. Colorado can't recover an onside kick with under 2 minutes to go. SC wins by 7, and Amarian Miller has 4 catches for 38 yards the rest of the season. At UCLA, 2022. In a shootout, SC leads by 10 with 9 minutes to go. UCLA scores to pull within 3. Then, with just under 3 minutes to go, Caleb Williams is sacked by Leatu Latu, taking USC out of field goal range, forcing Lincoln Riley to punt. UCLA drives down for the lead until defensive end Corey Foreman drops into zone coverage and snags the game-winning interception. SC wins by 3. At Arizona in 2022, SC misses 2 field goals and then nearly blows a 16-point fourth quarter lead because Dorian Singer just goes off with all these one-handed catches. Caleb Williams needs to convert a 4th and 1 on the ground with his legs with a minute left to secure the win. SC wins by 8. 2022, at Utah, SC leads by 14. They lose the middle 8 and finds itself tied in a shootout all of a sudden early in the fourth quarter. Dalton Kincaid catches 753 passes, and Cam Rising leads a 15-play go-ahead touchdown drive in which they convert 3 first downs, a 4th and goal, and a go-ahead 2-point conversion to avoid overtime because, like Justin Wilcox later, Whittingham decides to go for the win. They get it. SC loses by 1. Oregon State, a month before, down 14-10 late in the game. Caleb Williams needs center Brett Nealon to literally push him forward on a 4th and 6. The Trojans take the lead 5 plays later on a 21-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Addison with just over a minute to go. SC wins by 3. Those are all the close games on the road, true road games under Lincoln Riley. SC is 6-7 in those games. 3 of those wins came in the state of California. 5 of those wins came with Caleb Williams. In the last 2 years, in that same thing, close true road games, SC is 1-6. The only win in those close true road games is a win over a UCLA team coached by Deshaun Foster. And SC, in all 7 of those losses under Lincoln Riley in true close road games, led in the second half in each one of the 7. So, like...
And it's not like there are very many, like, we aren't just cherry picking a few results. The majority of USC's road games in the last 4 seasons are close ones. There are like 3 that don't fit this category.
Yeah.
Because USC beat Stanford big in 2022. They beat Stanford big in 2022. Yeah. Arizona State big in 2023.
I think the pushback to this could have been...
And then they lose to Oregon in 2023.
Would be like to include LSU and the SRS distribution Las Vegas Bowl. And that's fair. Those are 2 neutral site games. But if you're going to include those, then you got to include the meltdown at the Cotton Bowl. And then on top of that, like, the issue is, like Dan in the Solid Verbal says, the issue is when SC goes to LAX, right? And... So if you're not including those bowl games, but you're including the Cal game and the UCLA game, which SC wins and pulls out of their ass that are close too, like, it all cancels out. The issue is that in the last two seasons on the road, in the Big Ten era, SC is 1-6 in close games on the road, with the only win being the UCLA. Like, that's you can't keep. What's the meme? You can't keep getting away with this. From Breaking Bad, he can't keep doing this.
You want to know my diagnosis here, and it's kind of depressing. 6-7 overall. We've mentioned that the vast majority of these games have been close.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. So I guess that's something. I guess USC hasn't lost big on the road, I guess, is a comfort. Mm-hmm. But my problem when we're diagnosing things, especially when you consider that USC's only wins on the road come against UCLA. And then when we discuss talking about, like, do we factor in LSU? I'm not going to consider Texas A&M because bowl games are just they're just weird. They don't really. I mean, not that game wasn't meaningful, but, like, they're just unto themselves. They're completely different situation than anything else. But LSU is an interesting one to consider because, yes, that is a game where USC had to travel. Mm-hmm. It wasn't east of the Mississippi or east of the Rockies, so
it also helps. Wasn't at Tiger Stadium.
No, it wasn't at Tiger Stadium. And I will also say, like, LSU has a season opener problem. So, like, I don't want to take anything away from USC in that game, but it is interesting to sort of look at these games that USC wins and loses, and the ones that they win are, like, conveniently a UCLA team with Deshaun Foster, a UCLA team where DTR throws to an out of position defensive end who just happens to be there, like, miraculously. That's not a USC. I mean, again, like, don't read this as me taking everything away from USC because obviously guys had to make plays and had to take their moments. But it's like when USC wins these games, it's because the other team is like doing it harder, but is more committed to losing. Like, LSU fans will tell you, like, LSU losing to USC is a string of losses for LSU. this year, their win over Clemson this year, a terrible Clemson team, by the way, was like their first season opening win since
pre-COVID,
2018
or something.
Yeah, 2019.
2019. Yeah, when they won the championship. Yeah, I think that the thing is, even if you include the LSU game, it doesn't include the Michigan, the Minnesota, the Maryland, the Washington, the Illinois, the Notre Dame. And it's like, it would be one thing if SC was, if that 6-7 record in these close road games was spread out the entire time, right? Like, in road games, it's a coin flip, and sometimes you're going to win. You're going to have the LSU game, you're going to have the SRS distribution Las Vegas Bowl, but also you're going to lose to Illinois on the field goal, right? Like, if it wasn't a trend, but it is the trend. It is a trend. The last 6 times SC has had to go in an airplane for a true road game, they've lost, and each one of those has been close, and they've led in the second half of each one of those.
Which is why
you can't keep doing it.
Which is why it feels like it is a failing within USC, because obviously USC, it's not that they don't play well on the road, because if they didn't play well on the road, then they wouldn't have kept all of these games close. Now, obviously, like Maryland, we shouldn't have been talking about USC even being in a game with them, but right. Even Michigan and Minnesota is a team that continually catches people. Washington's not a bad team. Illinois, obviously a ranked team. Like Notre Dame, obviously a ranked team. The fact that USC is playing these games close obviously means that USC is able to get to a certain level. But USC's like, it's not about playing well. It's about when you make your plays and when you don't. Yeah. And USC's lack of composure at the end of these games on the road is just, you can't deny, like you said, it's a trend. It has happened too often. It has come out. USC has come out on the wrong side of it too often for it just to be, well, it's just one of those, because USC should not be under 500 on the road. We accept if USC loses more games on the road than they would at home, because that's road, home field advantage is a thing. But yeah. A team at USC's level shouldn't be 6-7. They should be like, parse that out for me, Michael.
2/3.
9-4, 10-3. I don't know if I got my numbers right. Whatever.
Yeah.
No, a USC that is winning, you can lose to Utah in 2022, but don't lose to Arizona. Don't lose to...
They beat Arizona, but like...
Yeah.
I just go back to like... We talked about last year, the Minnesota game is one where like... SC's mistakes in that game were very small in the grand, like compared to Maryland, compared to this Notre Dame game. It would be easy to just say, like, God, that Minnesota game was crazy. Like, there was a tip pass, and then there was the 2 quarterback sneaks. You didn't have Eric Gentry, all those things. The same thing with the Illinois game. You could say it was 9 a.m. You didn't have your best defensive player.
It wasn't 9 a.m. because of the delay, but no, that was Purdue. Sorry,
no, Illinois was at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
and you lose by a field goal, right? But you can't say that when you lose these close games in very similar fashion over and over and over again. So the trend is what ends up being the prevailing story there, right? More than the 300 yards rushing, more than they might have had food poisoning, more than, whatever the individual thing is.
Yeah, because it's now no longer about an individual result. It's about that rundown of results that you can point to that are just the same thing over and over, just packaged slightly different.
They led every one of these games in the second half, and most of them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So that's a problem. And that's the difference between US. So here's where, on Twitter, Fight on Rusty, who I think he's usually, I like his tweets. I think he brings interesting things to the conversation. I think he's a good representative for USC on social media, but he is taking a more sort of positive slant or more optimistic slant than I am at this point. He tweeted, USC continues to improve as a program under Lincoln Riley. USC is one of the youngest teams in the Big Ten and the number one recruiting class. Do we need to show up in big games on the road? Absolutely. Is everything perfect? No. But the trend is up from where it was the last 2 years. And I replied, like, the funny thing about that is that all of that is true, 100%. Like, and I totally understand if you're an optimist why you can say those things and feel very valid, because they are valid. But for me, like, where I'm at is it's year 4. And to, again, push the metaphors, like, by now, USC should be making a summit push. They shouldn't be getting to base camp and calling it progress. Yeah. And that's what, like, the difference for USC, if you just flip the results of a handful of these road games, if you flip the results of half of the losses that USC has on the road, where USC as a program is so much improved, it is frustrating. So USC is 6-7. So let's say you add 3 or 4 extra wins over the last 3 years. Like, that's the difference between a USC team that keeps being unranked at the end of the season and a USC team that's in the 15s at the end of the season.
And that's what the metric says they should be.
Which is where the metric says that it should be. At which point we could come into this season and say, okay, USC loses to Notre Dame, but they're close, and we don't have to look ahead and say, well, you know, we expect USC to lose this game because it's on the road, or be in trouble potentially on this game because it's on the road. Like, at this stage, when you look at Nebraska is a team that USC should beat, except that game's on the road, and so I'm not going to go into it confident. And if USC had been able to flip some of those results, my opinion on this would be so different. My opinion on the direction of the program would be so different, because it would feel like USC is, if we're talking like the Everest metaphor, like, it's not that USC is getting to base camp. It's that USC is up at like camp 3 or whatever. And the thing about when you do Everest is you go to base camp and then you go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down to acclimatize. So, like, it's not a problem that you go up and then take a little bit of a step back, because the whole point is that you're sort of making that trek up until you can make your summit push. And if USC was closer to that level, I could sort of rationalize in my head, USC made it up to camp 3, but then they had to come back down to camp 2 or whatever, and that they're just going to keep moving up. Where instead what I'm looking at is like, okay, USC's barely at base camp. Like, USC is barely getting to argue that they are sort of making progress towards the goal that I want them to have. Yeah. And that's really frustrating.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about in the CarCast was, like, there were the comments about, like, fire your coach every 3 years. If they're not the guy, just keep cycling, keep going to the discarding and drawing a new card until you get the Nick Saban, until you get the Pete Carroll, until you get the Howard Jones, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense, but I made the argument of, like, would you rather do that and, like, never make the playoffs for 4 years, but then, maybe have a dominant run every 40 years or something? The irony there, though, is, like, SC's not doing either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they have been making the playoffs like Penn State.
Yeah.
There's no playoff things, and it's because they're losing these close games. Like, if they weren't losing these close games at the same rate, they would be a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Probably multiple times now. And maybe it's a fringe. Maybe it's they're 9-3, but they finished 13th in the polls. Maybe. But you don't even allow yourself to be in the discussion when you lose every true road game. This, not exactly the same way, but almost the same way, over and over and over again, by little things and blowing leads.
Well, too many of these games come down to 2 or 3 plays.
Yes.
Like these games are coming down to 2 or 3 plays.
Which is why, like, the Lincoln Riley thing from last year, we're a couple plays away. Like
it's true.
He was right, but, like, you can't continually be a couple plays away. Like, at some point, it's that you're not making those couple of plays.
Well,
you know what I mean?
and here's where I can turn it.
You can't keep not making those couple of plays.
Here's where I can turn it around, and you know, having already discussed the 300 yards thing, here's where we can turn it around and say, like, that is where those matter, because USC has so many vulnerabilities. Specifically on defense, but you know, in different places, special teams, some stuff on offense.
They wouldn't have to put themselves in these spots to make the critical plays. It
wouldn't come down to 1 or 2 plays if you didn't give up 300 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
So like that's another structural problem, but that doesn't make it any better. You know, like both of these things are going on, and both of them need to be better for USC in order to get right.
This is what separates mediocre teams from good teams from great teams, right?
Yes.
Like, because a good team, a really good team, I use the word really, because I think SC is a good team. They're not a really good team because they give up the 300 yards.
Yeah.
A really good team doesn't give up the 300 yards on the road and wins half of the coin flips in close games on the road, right?
Yeah.
SC is losing the coin flips and giving up the 300 yards. And that's why you're 1-6 on the road in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and like I just think about the you know, growing up in the Pete Carroll era, Pete Carroll's teams were really those were great teams, if not, you know, elite teams.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of do the Michael Jordan thing sometimes, where it's like, oh, they were perfect all the time. Like, those teams were not perfect. Those teams were often trailing at halftime. Those teams were often making mistakes and having big moments that were really frustrating. But the reason they were great is because they found ways to win. Like, they pulled through in the second half. They made the plays in the end. They put their foot on an opponent's throat, and then, you know, even though they trailed at halftime, they end up winning by 3 touchdowns. You know, it's that killer instinct that it feels like USC doesn't have. And if they did have killer instinct, they wouldn't be losing all of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, you can use your skill to sort of avoid these kind of issues over at Underdog. Alicia, I'm super excited because Underdog right now, great place to go to play daily fantasy, because you can mix and match sports, right? You got football going on, a million different football games to look at the stat projections, make your pick higher or lower, whether a player will go higher or lower than their stat projections. But also, basketball season is right here too. And so this week, I'm going in there and I'm going to use my ball knowledge to take advantage of a gimme pick. I'm taking Kevin Durant's higher than 0 points tomorrow, Tuesday, in the season opener for the Rockets. Along with Woody Marks tonight on Monday night, higher than 29.5 rushing yards. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, higher than 6.5 receptions. Both of them on Monday night. Kevin Durant plays on Tuesday night, of course. Those are my picks. You can join me over on Underdog. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code Reign of Troy to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Reign of Troy. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, President state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing at terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with their play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. Alicia, we got a lot to get to. Let's start with the Rotometer. All right. We gave you the link to the forum after the CarCast, and the Trojans, the Rotbots, have chimed in. Last week, when last we spoke, the Rotometer was at 7.1 after USC's big win over Michigan. Elisa, where do you think it is right now?
It's probably down to 3 or something.
I will move this, crank it down, 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 right there. 3.94. 3.94 is where the Rotbots are putting it. I think that's about right. I think maybe 4.5 I'd go. 4, 3.5, like somewhere in there, depending on the moment, on the hour. Because, like, yes, I feel good about Jade Mayava and Makai Lemon and all them, but, like, do I feel good about SC's chances to go better than 9-3? No. Do I feel good about SC's chances to go 9-3? Probably, but that means you have to bank on them beating Nebraska, and SC can't win on the road. So I think 3.94 is right on. It's bang on.
Yeah, I don't feel good about 9-3 because, yeah, you got to beat Nebraska on the road. Also, who's to say USC doesn't make Iowa's offense look elite?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty low. I'm pretty low here. I think I've said my piece, but I would go. Yeah, I think the Rotbots have it right. It's like somewhere between a 3 and a 4 for me. Yeah. It's not like lower than that because USC does have 5 wins. They're on track to, I think 8 wins is still very much on the table. 9 wins is still available if they sort of use this bye week well. But yeah, it's so funny though looking at the averages over the course of the season.
It yo-yos.
It's like 6, 6, 6, 6, and then dip to Michigan, and then woo up to for Notre Dame, and then
right back down. Right back down.
Yeah.
Here's what some Rotbots said. Someone said 3, the defense is awful, and I don't know why they won't go to a 4-3. Carr wasn't the god. Someone says 4, we don't play well on the road. Our secondary and linebackers are atrocious and not progressing. The defense couldn't stop traffic if it was nude. Somebody says 3, down from 8. I expect to lose to Notre Dame, but not like that. I expected USC to get outplayed or out-physicaled, not flat out do dumb stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we've been saying. Someone says 5, dropping from 6 down to 5 due to all the self-inflicted wounds in South Bend. The season is progressing as expected, and I'm looking forward to how the team responds in 2 weeks. That's from Britton Irvine. Last one to mention here is someone says 8. On the pod, it was win 2 of the next 3 games, and USC fans are happy. Well, SC lost the game people probably expected them to lose in the close game and beat a team that is currently ranked and was ranked. If SC can go out and beat Nebraska, 10-2 or 9-3 is still on the table. We should expect more. But what we wanted Lincoln Riley to start doing is to show us that he can build, and one loss to Notre Dame doesn't drop away Michigan's win. Makes me feel like we're still steps in the right way. I hear you. Yes, I agree. But like, you still have to go out and do it. And I think the issue here is like right now, just given all the road struggle, like SC should win every game on their schedule, save for Oregon.
Mm-hmm. They'll be favored in every
They'll be favored in every one of those. And I think that on paper, they should beat every one of those teams, including Nebraska. But you have to suspend some disbelief because you got to factor in SC's road issues. And so if these games were played on Allison Felix Fields, you know what I mean? At 3 a.m. in the middle of summer, independent of everything else, yeah, I think SC should, win the vast majority of their games and finish 9-3. But like, I don't know that I'm willing to trust SC to do that. If they do, and then you can look back and say, hey, they won 2 of the 3 tough ones in the middle, then yeah, but you need to actually prove that you can do it. So
yeah, a lot rides on Nebraska. Nebraska is a big turning point because it is fair to say that going into the season, you could have expected USC I think it would have been reasonable to look at Illinois, Michigan, and Notre Dame and say USC wants to win 2 of 3, but if they get 1 of 3, they're still not dead in the water. And so now that's where USC's at. They're not dead in the water, but they need to swim to get to the dock. And that is what Nebraska is. If you lose to Nebraska, we're having it's going to be a thing. If you beat Nebraska, it's a stay of execution. It's getting right back on track. It puts you in a line to, and I think we all continue to say, like, 9-3 is fine. 9-3 is fine. If you can get to 9-3, then a lot will be forgiven. But
the thing where I'm like stuck with is before the season, one of the things I had talked about is like, give me the Penn State under James Franklin chalk season, right? Mm-hmm. Strictly because SC had not been doing that part, right? Because last year they lost to Maryland and Washington, teams that they should have beaten last year, right? They lost to Minnesota, teams that they should. It wasn't just the Notre Dame, Penn State game, Michigan last year that are they're very good teams. That yes, you're going to lose against very good teams a good number of times because that's football. But like SC went 6-6 in part because they didn't win the games that they definitely should have won. And so like the first step in really getting to the summit, like you were talking about, is like, don't lose to the teams that you have no business losing to. As it stands right now, SC has not lost to anybody they have no business losing to. Mm-hmm. If they go 9-3, then that will be true, assuming that they lose to Oregon and not Iowa, right? But
I will say, I would, if you gave me losing to Iowa, beating Oregon, I'd take that.
You'd take that?
I'd take that because I don't think USC is capable. I think USC beating Oregon at Autzen would be so much more of a statement than I'm not going to say I would be happy about losing to Iowa. But
I think it helps that the Oregon game is after.
USC proving that they could beat Oregon on the road would be a big deal to me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And it does help that like the Oregon game is after, so you get the recency of that factoring in, right? Because if Nebraska, if the Notre Dame game was last week and the Michigan game was 2 days ago, the rotometer would be completely different.
Yeah.
Even just by switching the order of the games.
Yes.
Right? Because that's just human nature. So, yeah. All right. We got a lot to get into, so let's get into the mailbag. It's a big one.
You've got mail.
All right.
Are we not going over under?
We do have to go over under.
Wow.
So you're going over.
I see how it is, Michael.
I'm going under. I got to take an under here. I got 3 unders to take.
I'm going to do an under here.
Right.
That's a little hint about what the results look like, guys.
Okay.
Because someone conveniently wasn't going to go over under.
You told me we had to get the mailbag quick. Yeah. We said over under 300.5. Jade Mayava passing yards. It was over. It was 328. King Miller over under 4.99. King Miller rushing yards per carry. He was way under that. 3.9. There's a full yard under that. Not a great game for King Miller. Sacks. Notre Dame sacks. The line was 1.5. It was 2. They got one late to get them over the hump there. Over under 3.5 false start penalties combined. I felt like this was high, but also there were a bunch of false start penalties that would to give us evidence to put it that high. It was too high. It was 0. Eric Gentry, forced fumbles. He had forced a fumble in every true road game he played in the last 2 calendar years. Only 4 games, but still had done it. It was 0 because he did not force a fumble in this game. The total points, the over-under was 61.5. It was under at 58.
USC's fault.
I have to say, I thought the Vegas line was crazy. It was at 9.5 when we did our rundown last Wednesday. I thought that was crazy.
The FEI projection.
Well, I'm going to get to that part. the 9.5 SC loses by 10. So right there, the over under was, or the total was 61.5. If Notre Dame hits the field goal that they miss, it's 61. So like
Vegas is good, man.
I tip my hat to the sharps. They know what they're doing. FEI projection, by the way, had Notre Dame winning 35-25. I thought that was weird. What do I know? It was 34-24.
Yeah.
They were bang on.
Yep.
Bang on. Anyways, for the week, over under, you went 5-1. Big week for you.
See, the
Huge
reverse.
week.
Either way, I was gonna win. Either USC was gonna win because I reverse psychologied them, or USC wasn't gonna do the reverse psychology and give me the over under win. So there you go.
Yeah. I thought it would be a shootout, so I took over on everything. I went 2-4. Not the great week for me. Top route bots of the week was a bunch of people who went 5-1, including you. Tim in LA, our buddy Steve in the Bay Area, John Clown all went 5-1. For the season, three-way tie for number 1 overall. HH and HB, John Clown and Vince in San Diego. I am in sole 4th place at 18-12. One game back. So, all right. Score predictions. You said 35-33. You're close to Notre Dame. So you had 34.
That was USC's fault. USC scoring.
Yeah. I said 48-45 in overtime. I really thought this was going to be crazy, like a high flying game. And I think that like Ty on the Solid Verbal put it well. This was a clunker for both teams masqueraded as a shootout. And I see a lot of that. Yeah. Like this was 34-24, but like there was weirdly a lot of defensive stops and a lot of drive stalls for a game that still had that many points. Like it should have been more, right? Should have been more. All right, let's get to the mailbag for real.
You've got mail.
Okay, let's start with a voicemail from Tony.
Michael, Alicia, this is Tony from Denora, PA. What I've seen tonight is this team is not ready for prime time. Defense was horrible. Turnovers at the wrong time. Bad play calling at the wrong time. We're a good team, but we're just not ready for prime time. Disappointing performance tonight. Fight on.
Thanks for the call, Tony, as always. Yeah.
No argument from me.
Yeah. No rebuttals. Dave in Orange County.
Radio Troy Radio, what's up? This is Dave in Orange County. Well, just a heartbreaking loss. Got to find a way to beat these Irish. I mean, and got to find a way to not look completely inept on the road. I mean, 2011, that's the last time we won. I was at that game. I wasn't so old. Tonight was just kind of embarrassing. Just finding 87 different ways to lose this game, whether it's letting the guy run 226 yards on you, or whether it's giving up a kickoff return for a touchdown, or throwing interceptions that was just ridiculous, or trick plays with fumbles in the rain. Like, why are we trying to do those plays? Just a bunch of little things that just added up. And yet we were still kind of in the game to just kind of give you hope. But we were never firing on all cylinders after that first drive. So it's just demoralizing. We've just got so much more to go, so much more to learn, so much more to get to the next step, and we're just not there yet. You know, we may win another 3-4 games this season, and maybe, get to a bowl game and do a little something. We're just not big enough, just not strong enough, just not fast enough, just not able to not shoot ourselves in the foot, and it's just frustrating to be mid. And as Trojan fans, we don't accept that, but we look to the future. We look with some faith, and we always look to fight on another day. So we're gonna hold our heads up, and we're gonna look to beat the bye next week. All right, for all you Rain Troy fans, fight out.
Thanks for the call, Dave. As always. Yeah, beat the bye is something that you hope SC can do this week.
Well, USC beat the bye last bye, except getting a home game after it was convenient. So we'll see if they can beat the bye and do something on the road.
This is true.
Yeah.
let's go to a call we got from the 323 area code. I feel bad because the beginning of the call was sort of cut off. It was a little choppy. So we missed the name on this, but it's from the 323.
This loss right here doesn't give me, I guess, a lot of faith into the rest of the season. I guess bad play calling in the offensive side. The defense, I mean, I don't know. Are defensive backs that bad that we have to line up 10 yards, basically giving them the first down? Like, are the defensive backs, like, no adjustments, even in the second half? I don't know. I don't understand. At a certain point, I would think this would be the game, like, hey, you know what? You guys got to buck up and play some man, you know, show some tenacity, get in there and, you know, play tough. I don't know, some type of toughness from your defense, but just disappointing because the game was there. Missed field goals, couple good stops. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think.
Thanks for the call, as always. Lisa, your thoughts?
Yeah, again, and it just keeps coming back to the I had a train of thought and I've lost it. God damn it!
I miss when we weren't live. We could just be like, "Okay, cut," and then we'll start back over.
No, I think no. I've totally lost it.
To go to the intensity and tenacity thing. I'm like, yeah, like people talk about, you know, playing physical. I do think that, like, I always get sort of tired with the terms of like, got to be more physical. All that means is winning in the trenches, and all it also means is having, like, it's like the identity thing. The identity thing is just winning. Being physical is just winning in the trenches, right? And SC won in the trenches a week ago against Michigan, so everybody thought that they were super physical. People were talking national podcasts. Oh, look how physical SC was. All those things. And then this one, no physicality, no tenacity, in part because they gave up 306 rushing yards. Right?
Well, okay. I want to also, I don't want to do revisionist history, but I will say, I remember saying at the time,
you weren't big on the defensive performance against Michigan.
To me, the only thing stopping Michigan from doing close to what Notre Dame did on the ground is that Michigan didn't try. I don't know, Michigan should have been running the ball in between the tackles on every play. I think they would have racked up a lot more yards than they did. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit crazy. I don't want to take anything away from USC's defensive performance in that game because they did a good job. But it was like Michigan and Notre Dame both have the same. They both have the same situation, right? They've got a young quarterback and a good running game. And Notre Dame had a young quarterback who was playing poorly, and they just ran the ball a bunch of times. And when they ran the ball, they had success, and when they tried to pass, they didn't. And Michigan was the same, it had the same problem. They just didn't take the same tactic. They kept asking Bryce Underwood to throw and not just saying, screw it, okay, USC, stop us on the ground. And to me, that was always the difference in that game. Now, USC, I thought was more physical than Michigan on the offensive line, and in a way that they didn't manage to do against Notre Dame, and that's a credit to Notre Dame's defensive front for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I had taken. I don't feel like I'm doing revisionist history when I say that. At the time, I thought Michigan didn't run the ball often enough.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was pleased with SC's rush defense against Michigan because they held the backs to no more than 5 yards per carry, again, 5 yards per carry.
It's a low standard.
It's a low standard. But I had no the expectations were low going into the Michigan game for me defensively, especially coming off the Illinois game, right? So they held them to they didn't give up any big long runs against Michigan. And they didn't give up the explosive plays, and they didn't let a running back run for 228 yards himself. And you combine that with forcing turnovers, and then on the offensive side of the ball, winning the line of scrimmage, that's very satisfying. That's why everybody says that SC out-physicaled them, right?
Yeah. Which is why I have a problem with the out-physical thing in general, because I think, like we talked about on the CarCast
it's a little simplistic.
about What did we decide? Outcome bias. It's outcome bias. Physicality is did you win?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, it's the same thing about like this team has no identity. It's like, no, they have an identity. Their identity is just not what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Rich in San Diego.
The bottom line is you can't be a physical team if you're going to be cute on 4th and inches when you got to have the first down. Rich in San Diego.
Right on cue, by the way, talking about physicality there.
Rich was short, sweet, and to the point.
To the point, and exactly where we needed him to be, talking about physicality.
That was beautiful. Yeah, good call. I mean, I'm torn on that 4th down play because
I will go to bet that should have been the 3rd down call.
Yes.
Like, obviously, it wasn't 3rd and inches, but I'm just saying, like, that is a 3rd and inches type of call for me.
Yes. No, but for me, it's a question of, like, should USC have done the QB sneak? And realistically, given that you have a quarterback of Jaden Mayava's size, I think the answer is probably yes, you should just do the QB sneak.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, given what we had seen throughout the game. Now,
getting no push in the middle.
I completely agree with Rich. You should feel confident doing a QB sneak and getting those inches.
Yeah.
If you are not confident in that, then you have a deeper problem, which, by the way, USC does.
Right.
But given the context of that game, I'm not opposed to being realistic and saying that Notre Dame had been winning the battle on the interior defensive line all game long. Mm-hmm. And so why would you expect it to be different on a QB sneak where you're just trying to, beat those tackles when those tackles have been beating your centers and guards on every play before? So in that sense, like, I agree. I want USC to be able to be physical, but I don't know that this team is. Like, you just sort of have to, you are where you are. It's the can USC fix this particular problem in 30 seconds? Maybe. But I do think there were a multitude of better plays than the one that they went with.
Yes,
with that rollout. So no, I think this is like a macro and a micro problem. The macro problem is that USC shouldn't be in a position where they're not confident in running a QB sneak there, or at least running up the middle there, right? Mm-hmm. The micro problem in that moment is that I don't blame Lincoln Riley for not being super confident in going straight at the teeth of Notre Dame's defense, but that's not my issue with that play. It's that like he could have picked any other play in USC's playbook, and I would have said that it was a better choice. Like, if you had me rank plays in USC, let's go into CFB 26 and have me rank plays on the USC playbook. The play that he chose would be at the bottom.
No, I agree. Yeah, like I think the sneak thing, yes, in a perfect world, you do the sneak and you get it and all those things. There would also been a heavy bit of outcome bias if you get the sneak and you don't get it. Then it's embarrassing that we're so unphysical that we couldn't get 4th and inches on a sneak.
Having
right?
said that, I do think there's a very clear argument too to say, what is the point of having Brian Jackson on your team and suited up if you're not going to use him in that moment? Because if ever there was a play built for Brian Jackson, then it's that one.
Yeah.
If
you don't want to do the sneak, you can go off tackle. Heck, maybe a pitch is still getting too cute, probably, but like literally anything. I think I would have been okay with a pass. Like I think if you ran stick, you know what I mean?
That's what I would.
Or like mesh on that play, I would have been way more for that than what SC ran. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm a lover of a bootleg, by the way. Yeah. I love a bootleg. You just can't get cute when you haven't had the advantage on those type of things, and it's a gotta have it play. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the first, I think it would have been different if that was the 4th down play in the first half. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been more understandable, but it wasn't. So let's go to voicemail we got from Jack. This was a long call. We ended up trimming it up for time and conciseness, but so there were a couple points that were made early on. That's were sort of repeats of everything else, but I wanted to get to this last point.
Hi, Alicia and Michael. This is Jack from Denver. I have just a few thoughts on this game. A team is only as good as its coach. So a bad team is going to be bad if they have a bad coach. That makes sense. A mediocre team probably has a mediocre coach. And good teams have good coaches. USC falls in the category of having a good coach. It's fair to say he's a good coach, but he just can't stop beating himself with his decision making and with anything else that has to do with these clutch games at this point. So I'm just going to leave it off with, until USC actually looks at themselves and fixes those problems where they beat themselves in these games, they're not going to win when they are playing away. They're not going to win when they're playing in close games. And that's all I have to say about that. Fight on.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Great points. Full stop, and fully agree. Yeah.
And I think Jack's point there is mirrors something that I saw way earlier in the chat. So apologies if I got this wrong. I believe it was Iliam earlier who talked about how like it just doesn't feel like Riley has it. And when you look at somebody like Kurt Signetti, like you see it in spades. Mm-hmm. And the difference there is yeah, you are only as good as your head coach allows you to be. And I think that Lincoln Riley, my assessment on this right now is just that Lincoln Riley's a damn good offensive coordinator, and therefore his teams are always going to have enough offense to sort of not be complete disasters, but you have to be more of a complete head coach in order to elevate the rest of the way. And I just don't see Riley being able to do that. And, yeah. You know, I think that we hoped and continue to hope that like these are things that he learns from his mistakes and gets better and develops. And, you know, you have to accept that journey that you hope you're on. My fear is that like we went through that journey with Clay Helton, and the answer was decidedly no. Mm-hmm. And Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, we were the testing ground for them while they were still infant coaches learning their trade, and then they go on to bigger and better things because they learn from their failures. And it's just like I'm just kind of tired of having to be the place where the coaches fail in order to learn more. And maybe it works out for Lincoln Riley because of the length of his contract, and maybe by year 5 he's failed enough to learn and get better and change. But like, I'm not banking on that at this point. So
yeah, I think the wrestling over whether or not a coach has it is a much harder debate when it's James Franklin and you're still going to the playoff despite not having it, right?
Yeah.
When you're Bo Pelini, you're still absolutely winning 9 games every year and not having it. When you're Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma and you're going to the playoff and going 11-1 every year, and people are still saying, yeah, but he can't get more than that. Well, hey, I'm still going to the playoff. You know what I mean? And so when you add in the fact that SC is 7-5 and 6-6 in the last 2 years, you know,
that's an issue.
It's an issue. Yeah. We got an email from Nancy. It is addressed somewhat to you.
So I'm reading it?
No, I'll read it.
Okay.
I'll read it. Dear Ron, oh, Alicia, you beautiful, wretched Trojan. I had to look that up, by the way. I assumed it meant like a Trojan woman, but I had to look that up to make sure. I'm not that educated. One shares your excruciating pain. You and Michael desperately want / need this USC program under Lincoln Riley to be an elite top 12 finalist. And in year 4, so far his signal achievements would seem to be, upgrades from Miller Moss, poaches Chad Bowden, and definitively ends rivalry series with Notre Dame. Were those your heart's fervent desires? ? Will you arrive at vintage points later in life and realize just how much time and effort you've expended, dedicating yourselves and your canine's well-being to this frustrating, undeserving of your loyalty, demonstrably epic mediocrity that is USC football in the 2020s? Your fragile sanities now reside on winning out and hoping for victories against Oregon and UCLA. When will you cop to it? How much could still be accomplished positively in your lives by applying your considerably astute USC educations, in all caps, to something other than a vain quest for perennially futile gridiron glory? Keep the fight on spirit alive by all means in whatever you do, but please consider a move on, in all caps, strategy to more expansive podcast ambitions. Even your linguistic forays might be more beguiling. Speaking of linguistic forays here, German emotional expressiveness versus French ? Fretting and hand-wringing over Lincoln Riley is a waste of your considerable intelligence. Cheers, Nancy Beach, Marina Del Rey, USC, LAS, 1972.
That was an excellent email, Nancy. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, my sanity is dependent on USC. Maybe not beating Oregon, but like certainly beating UCLA. So I'm nothing if not maybe we have considerable intelligence, but I will tell you, we are idiots. Because we would have moved on a hell of a lot long ago if we were willing to take our emotional well-being into account when it comes to following this team. So yeah. That's we are masochists, I suppose.
The Google AI overview on beguiled: to be charmed, enchanted, or delighted. It can also mean to be deceived or led astray through cunning or trickery.
Well, we have been led astray by USC, that's for damn sure.
Yes. All right. We got an email from Britt. Let me get to that. Let me get to that. All right. He says, can we take a break from complaining about the play calling and terrible run defense to acknowledge the breakthrough performance of Tanook Hines? Hines has been patiently waiting his time this season, making a catch here and there, and probably most importantly, blocking downfield like a veteran. Hines got the required bad drop out of the way. If you know, you know. Big Mike Williams at Kansas State. Great callback, Brett. Thank you. Fresh in the memory still. Against Michigan, and stepped up for 5 catches in South Bend. Dismiss Hines' performance as Notre Dame taking Lemon out of the game if you must, but Hines is USC's future wide receiver 1. Hines is following the path of all great Trojan pass catchers, Morton through Lemon, by making himself a player who has to be respected by the defense. Watch for Tanook to continue to play a bigger role in the remaining games this season. Fight on, Britt from Irvine. Yeah, I thought Tanook Hines was great. I thought he was really good. This is one of the things, like, going into the game, I thought it was going to be interesting to see how the offense sort of worked when you looked at Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. And one of the things we had talked about was the 2019 game. SC obviously loses at Notre Dame in 2019, but they were really productive offensively, in part because, you know, that was a game where they played very valiantly at Notre Dame, but like the offense was very productive because you had a receiving core of Amon-Ra and Tyler Vaughns and Michael Pittman and Drake London. And if you were going to take away 2 of those guys, well, the other 2 were going to step up. And I thought the receiving core, even though it's essentially a 3-man receiving core for the Trojans right now, essentially did that in a lot of ways here. Mekhi Lemon absolutely bottled by Leonard Moore. Leonard Moore was fantastic for Notre Dame. He really did keep Mekhi Lemon in check the entire game, save for the one big play right before the fumble. But Tanuk Hines was there when you needed him. The tight ends early on in the game were there when you needed him. The touchdown catch from McCree was incredible. Jacoby Lane, he had the one drop, but he was really good when you needed him to be really good. Those guys stepped up, and Tanuk Hines, I think, has played really well even against Illinois. I thought he was fantastic. That's what you need from a true freshman, especially when he doesn't look like a true freshman. You know? He doesn't look, he looks like a guy who beat out Prince Strawn and Jaden Richardson and all those guys that he beat out.
I forget that he was a true freshman pretty much every time I see him.
Yeah. And I love the name Tanuk Hines. It's great.
It's a great name. It's such a great name. It feels like Tanuk is in the mold of the string of really good USC receivers that we had over the last 15 years, where year one for Juju is he's a freshman alongside more veteran guys, and he's taking the opportunities that he's getting. But then he eventually becomes that guy that's the number one guy, and you can sort of tell from day one. We knew with Drake London wasn't the main focus of the offense in his freshman season, but you could already tell that he had that
dog in him.
That dog in him, yeah. And it was the same with guys. It was the same with guys like Amon-Ra and Robert Woods and the like. So I think that Tanuk is really coming along, and he was USC's top rated player on offense according to PFF. So our eyes didn't deceive us there in that sense. And it was definitely a really encouraging game for him, and one that I hope he can use as a springboard for more situations where he's also just less of a third option and more of a one of three. I don't know if that even makes sense.
Yeah. We got a call from LA Fred. Let's go to that.
Hey, Rena Troy, is LA Fred calling. Well, rather than talk about the game individually and what did and didn't frustrate us on Saturday night, I wanted to spend a minute and talk a little bit about the USC versus Notre Dame rivalry. In the 15 years since Pete Carroll has left the program, USC is now 4-11 versus Notre Dame. And that includes Lincoln Riley and his stellar 1-3 record with 3 consecutive losses on the hook right now. I don't know whether it's a combo of the teams, Notre Dame being better than us one year, poor coaching. All of it just kind of blurs into one, and I'm just sick of the excuses. I've had it. The bottom line is if you can't beat Notre Dame as the head football coach at USC, you don't belong to be there. Now, I'm going to move on to what really got the bee in my bonnet to put this down as a topic this week. As I was watching the game Saturday night, as it was getting close to the end and the outcome no longer in doubt, I saw several videos of players on the USC sidelines smoking and joking with each other, laughing, giggling, going on like they didn't care at all. They just lost another very winnable game. Now, I'm going to choose to chalk that up to immature 18 to 23-year-olds who probably don't understand the full history nor the significance of this great rivalry, rather than a blatant disregard of lack of giving a crap about it. Next year is supposed to be the 100th year of this rivalry, and as of right now, there's no contractual game set. So I hope whatever needs to get done gets figured out some way, somehow, that we can continue this rivalry going, as it's by far been the best rivalry of my USC fandom since I've been alive and following the Trojans. And in closing, I'd like to leave you with some words from the immortal John McKay, our legendary former coach. There's nothing worse than losing to UCLA. There's nothing better than beating Notre Dame. Enjoy the second bye week. Beat the Cornhuskers. Fight on, everybody.
Thanks for the call, as always, LA Fred. Yeah, a lot of the talk nationally has been this being the last game. And of the rivalry, and maybe I am just in denial, but like I haven't thought about that much. And maybe it's willful denial. I don't know.
You know what sort of clicked for me this weekend? That I already had a feeling that like the rivalry is not going to get canceled. It's probably going to get shifted and changed, but not canceled. And that was really reaffirmed this week when the cancellation of this game was on the table because of the lightning, the thunderstorms that were going to be forecast for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And it got us all thinking, like, who does it benefit more if the game is canceled, if the game can't be played? And as much as we all wanted this game to be played this year, if the lightning was going to happen and logistically they couldn't do it, then they were going to have to cancel the game. It was just an act of God, right? Just like it was in with the COVID season. USC could have gone through the rest of the season without this game having been played, and it would not have changed USC's trajectory. Notre Dame losing the USC game would have been a significant blow to their potential resume. So to me, looking ahead, looking forward, I think it's pretty clear to me that USC has the leverage when it comes to the matchup, and that eventually, one way or another, Notre Dame will give in to enough of USC's demands in order to keep the rivalry alive. Because now, do I want USC to just keep the rivalry and not have to make a big deal out of it? Yes, because to me the rivalry is that important. But
yes, yeah.
But USC does have the leverage, and if USC wants to play the game at the start of September, and that's the break point, Notre Dame will accept that. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do that thing where they sort of like fight against it for a little while as negotiations.
Maybe it's willful outlooks from me, but like I feel like it's just gonna get done. It's just gonna get done. But like I do feel naive because I thought this about Texas A&M. I think this about a million different things in the world. Oh, this will get settled right before it happens, and then it doesn't. So I don't want to be completely naive there, but I do agree with you. I think it will end up getting moved to September. I see what you mean about like if the game was canceled in this season, it would have benefited SC more than Notre Dame. However,
well, it wouldn't have hurt USC as much as it would have hurt Notre Dame.
Yes, I know what you mean. However, I do think that the game moving to September, thunderstorms are just way more likely to be an issue if it's a September thing. September or late August, whatever it ends up being, whether it's like week 0 even, in Indiana, you could have absolutely thunderstorm delays.
But I think that USC's argument for moving it out of October and November is a lot more to do with if you lose to Notre Dame in on September 1st, it's much less costly than if you lose to Notre Dame in November or October.
Yeah.
Or complicated, because I will give USC this. Logistically, Notre Dame being an October or November game every other season is a nightmare for the Big Ten schedule.
It's a nightmare for everybody, yeah.
So, like, I get if the Big Ten schedule situation, USC wants to simplify their life there and end up moving the game to where traditionally out-of-conference games have always been held in those first few weeks. So, like, I don't think USC is out of line to be pushing for that particular change, even though I like the way it is right now. But I get it. Sometimes you have to change.
Yeah, Randy in the chat says it would be a great neutral site opener for college football. I agree.
I disagree, but I don't want neutral
I agree,
site.
but I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What makes this great is the Coliseum and Notre Dame Stadium.
I want Notre Dame fans to come out to Los Angeles. I want USC fans to go out to Chicago, South Bend. I want the game played at the Coliseum. I want the game played at Notre Dame Stadium with touchdown
This game being
there.
played at the Alamo Bowl or the Alamo Dome.
I think it would suck all of the life out of. I mean, it wouldn't suck the life out of the game, but like it would suck the magic out of it a little bit.
Yeah, where I think it would still feel special if it was a neutral site game in a bowl or in a playoff game. Like that would still feel special because like it had heightened meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But if you met on August 27th in Kansas City, would that really tickle your pickle?
Well, people are saying like Allegiant, which I think would make the most sense. But then you're talking, okay, so what? You're just going to sit in a soulless NFL stadium and
Yeah. Play somebody else other than Notre Dame there. To go back to LA Fred's point though, in the 18, I looked this up, and he mentioned that since Pete Carroll left, SC is 4-11 against Notre Dame, which is bad, awful. I looked it up. In the 18 games before Pete Carroll was hired, SC was 3-14-1. So in the combined 33 years before and after Pete Carroll, SC is 7-25-1 against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame has one national title in that stretch, 1988. SC has 2, 04 and 03. And Pete Carroll was 8-1. So Pete Carroll was incredible in the rivalry. SC has been ass at it for the last 40-something years. And this is one of the things that I think that like is worth mentioning too. Like we talk about, since the Pete Carroll era, SC has not been up to snuff and all this kind of stuff. When it comes to UCLA basketball, I'm always willing to like make the point of like, you have to go back to when Wooden left rather than saying like, since Howland left or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you have to look at the big picture. And I think that like we should be talking about SC football in that same way, because yes, the Pete Carroll era is the tangible evidence for what SC can be in the 21st century, and it should be, and it absolutely needs to be, all those kind of things. 1,000 million bazillion percent. At the same time, like SC was extremely mediocre before Pete Carroll. So like it goes way deeper than just the post Pete Carroll era. You know what I mean? Like since John Robinson left, SC has had one excellent coach, and that's it.
Well, this series has also been one of streaks. So,
well, yes, for sure, but it's just all right, let's wrap it up with a couple of reviews that we got on Apple Podcasts. We got 2 3-star reviews. First one comes from AY3500. Some great content, but ... I thoroughly appreciate the effort and takes on the podcast. I'd love to give the show 5 stars, but the extended periods of high-pitched dog yelping makes the parts of the show impossible to listen to. Hopefully this can be addressed, as otherwise it's a 5-star show. And then Funsies chimes in with 3 stars. Doggy daycare exists. If this was the King game, meaning the King Miller game against Michigan, then this was the dog episode. Please figure out the dog whining and barking. It's becoming a terrible listening experience. Meanwhile, we get an email from Mike in Bellevue. I'm sending in my negative comment that I did not hear from Badger during your USC Notre Dame pregame show on Wednesday. Fight on, Sylvie's dad, Mike in Bellevue.
So
first of all, the 3-star, I very much appreciate the 3-star reviews, because like AY3500 said, like it's not about the quality of the show. It's about the pain in the ass that Badger can be. At the same time, like we've said over and over again, and not that this is making anything better, because we haven't eradicated the problem, but like we are trying a million different things to fix the problem. I think today was minimal, hopefully. I hope.
Well, we got through it because we gave them bully sticks. The issue in the end became that Badger finished his bully stick before Jessie finished hers. So then Badger was sitting across the room staring at Jessie eating her bully stick and getting pissy about it. So that was what set Badger off.
Yes. But like that doesn't help if you're listening and still hear this stuff.
No, and we understand for sure that it's very frustrating to have that distraction in the background for sure. Mm-hmm. Trust me, we know how annoying his yelping is. We are keenly aware of that. But the thing is that Badger's a puppy. He is going through a phase. The reason that this is happening now when it wasn't over the summer is because he was crate trained, and we had been putting them in the crates while we were podcasting, and he's going through a phase where he's rejecting the crate. So we are working on that. We're working on making sure that they get a nice long, extra long sniff walk before we podcast when that's possible, but sometimes it's not, like today. I guess what our message is to everybody is like, we are aware, we are trying. Like, don't think that we're just sitting here being content with the Badger situation. Yeah. But we are taking active steps. We would also just, like a little bit of grace in the sense that he's a puppy, he's going through a phase, and there's only so much we can do at a certain point, because we can give him a bully stick, but if he wants to complain to Jesse, he's going to do it. And if we put him in the crate, you're just going to hear him barking endlessly for an hour in the other room. Doggy daycare does exist, yes, but we can't necessarily justify spending $200 a week sending him to doggy daycare. Or it would probably be more like $300 a week sending him to doggy daycare 3 times a week. So it is what it is.
Yeah, Nick in the chat says it's bad they're teething. Yes. Yeah. You put your fist down and he's going to want to chew on your fist.
Yeah, he's, I don't know. He's just a puppy. I don't want to like pass it off like that. It's just like, I guess I'll put it this way. I am confident that he will eventually stop doing this behavior. Yeah. It's just, it's a process.
I see every single side of this because, there's comments in the chat here. They must hate pets, says Fighting on MC. Lee says it's seriously not that big of a deal. Dogs bark. Ilium says, look, I joined the Rot Squad last week specifically to protest all of this anti-dog nonsense. I just forgot to email. Yeah, I think that if I was listening to a podcast in which there was the dog barking, I probably would stop listening. And maybe this is me with my OCD, ADHD, whatever letters you want to put on it, ADHD, whatever you want to call it. Like, maybe it's that. So I thoroughly understand. And it pains me more than anything else. At the same time, emails from Sylvie's dad, Mike in Bellevue. I think that it helps. It helps, give myself grace for feeling that way. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to take my anger out on little Badgie. Because I know he's not trying to. The other thing is he's not barking at us. He's barking at Jesse.
He's barking at Jesse.
Yes.
That's
which is the most frustrating thing.
The most frustrating thing is that it's literally not us. He's either mad that Jesse won't play with him, or that Jesse has something that he doesn't, or whatever it is that he's.
Yeah, and the tough part too is I'm a big Reddit person in the sense of I'm gonna go to Reddit for everything. Instead of Googling something, I will Google something and put Reddit, so that way I can see there's got to be a Reddit thread about this, right? Mm-hmm. I have Googled so many freaking times, dog barks at other dog barks at my other dog, Reddit, whatever it is. I cannot find anything. And if I'm just wording it wrong and someone can find a Reddit thread on how people are finding solutions for one dog barking at the other one, send them our way, please. Because everything I can find is my dog barks at other dogs on the street. And it's that's not the problem that we're looking for the solution for.
Yeah. The one. I mean, now that we're just brainstorming here, the one thing we haven't done that I think maybe is a possibility is maybe we need to, while we are getting him back into accepting that he can go in the crate and not lose his mind, maybe we need to put Jesse in the crate and keep him in here, and sort of not give him that. It's
worth a trial run. The other thing that like we've talked about before is like, this is hard to explain because it defies logic, but like the dogs know when we're podcasting. Like Jessie will know because when we say the words that we say at the end of the pod, she will spring into action like, oh, they're done. She knows, right? Mm-hmm. So like we can try all these things in the middle of the day, at night, whatever, and they could work, and then we get to do the pod and it doesn't work. Like the crate thing, prime example. He is fine in his crate. We went to lunch today. If we put him in the crate, he's fine.
If we leave, he's fine in the crate.
He's fine.
If we put him in the crate and we are still in the apartment, he's not fine.
But like when we've put him in the crate and we've like worked silently and like given him an afternoon nap in there because he's been a little rambunctious and like, you know, he needs an afternoon nap. Let's put him in the crate because we need to hunker down on some work we're doing.
That's true. Yeah,
he's fine.
That is funny because part of our strategy here, and now we're just a dog podcast. So here we go, dog behavior podcast. Yeah. What part of our strategy was that so we need to start giving him an afternoon nap in the crate so that he gets used to the idea of going in the crate in the afternoon right around the time that we would be podcasting. Yeah. And we've done that, and you're right. Most of the time, sometimes he's still pissy because, I don't know, he is just one of those. But like, you're right that he's cool so long as we're not talking, so long as we're quiet. Like we have our headphones on and we're working silently, and then he's chill. But
well, the other thing that's funny about this is like when we were originally crate trading him at the very beginning when he was like a few months old, one of the ways to calm him down and would make him more comfortable in the crate is we would play a podcast so he could hear the podcast and know that we like
feel our voices.
Yeah, and hear our voices and like feel soothed by that.
And it felt like that was working.
It worked. It was good. Like and then we slowly like turned the volume lower and then ended up stop doing it. Like we weaned him off having the podcast play while he was in the crate. And by the way, it is a freaking cheat code to be able to have like hours of your voice. Yeah. Like if I die in a car accident tomorrow, Alicia, you'll be able to like hear me. Like
I'll be able to plug it into AI and just get an AIU, version.
Well, you don't have to replace
There's a Black Mirror episode about that, but no biggie.
Like I have like 2 voicemails on my phone of my mom who passed away 2.5 years ago. I cling to those 2 voicemails. You've got hundreds of hours, and I get hit by a car tomorrow. You're good. You're golden. You're golden. But
I agree with Iliam. The dogs, they just have a lot of opinions about Lincoln Riley, and that maybe if Lincoln Riley got it together, they would be calmer.
Yeah. Nick says dogs are creatures of habit, and they adjust to our schedules. Yes, absolutely. The Stories Hero says, what about a frozen peanut butter mat? We've tried those.
We've tried giving them Kongs and to varying degrees of success because I think that I don't know what it is. Like both of them give up on the Kongs sooner than I would prefer them to, especially if they're frozen.
Yeah, and it sucks because like the frozen ones last longer.
Yeah,
and then the mat thing works, but yes, eventually they will give up on the mat or chew the mat.
No, that's the issue is we've had mats and then we've ended up having to pick up dog poop with strips of silicone in it. So yeah, they don't.
You want to tell them about your earplugs?
Yeah.
Lisa's been wearing earplugs.
In an ideal world, I would simply wear earplugs every night. I would, but inevitably one of them falls out or something like that if I don't put them in.
Yeah, and then a day later you're picking up a dog turd with a perfectly intact
Yeah,
earbud in
I
it.
wake up without the earbud in my ear, and I'm like, I don't know where that went. And then I find out where that went because a certain someone thinks, "Ooh, piece of candy."
Yeah.
So
this is a non-flavorful candy corn.
Yeah. All right, we are coming up on our hard stop, and we are just talking about dogs.
Yeah.
Nick asked, does Badger tire quickly? I don't know if walks or throwing the ball around for him or why would tire him out.
This is the problem about the throwing the ball thing.
He's hard to play with because he just wants to play with Jessie.
He just wants to play with her.
Like, you start throwing the ball, and he'll do it, and then he'll grab the ball and go take it to Jessie.
And then Jessie just looks
Jessie's
at him like,
what the fuck are you doing? I'm sorry for the language, but
what do you want me to do with it?
Yeah, no, but honestly, the best solution that we found is a long sniff walk in the morning. The reason that Badger was so quiet for the Notre Dame preview was that I had taken them out for an hour and a half in the morning to do a sniff walk. Now, part of the reason that
went
that
like
was
2.5 miles, and
part of the reason that worked is because I was off on Wednesday and had time to give them that length of a walk. But on days when I work, especially when I work early, it just gets a little bit more tricky. If I could wake up earlier, that would be great, but that would require me going to sleep earlier, and insomnia is a bitch.
You
That's
getting
all
to
I'll
sleep
say.
without the earplugs.
Without the earplugs, then it's a cycle. You know?
We're drowning. We are drowning in life.
It's a phase. It's a phase. We're okay. We're okay. He's okay. We'll get through it. He'll learn. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up before he notices and makes another sound. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for making it this far in the pod. We appreciate you. Seriously, we appreciate the 3-star reviews, especially because we prefer a 3-star review than like a 1-star review. So, all right. Okay. We're wrapping it up.
Badger's saying, wrap it up, guys.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll see you guys next Monday. Remember, next Monday, it's bye week. In the show notes, in the doobly-doo, in the description, whatever the hell you want to call it, go in there, click the link to the Google form to go on to the bye-week Rotometer and put your Rotometer in for every single USC unit and coordinators, coaches, all that kind of stuff. So go do that, and we will reconvene next Monday, and we'll be back then to talk more. And then next week we'll also preview SC Nebraska. So until then, we will see ya.
See ya.
See ya.